I will always commend Respawn for sticking to their guns in regards to how minimalist the game is. It delivers an exhilarating user experience by focusing mainly on smooth gameplay and tight gun control. No more, no less. By today's standards, it can be said to have an underwhelming amount of weapons and lacks variety and customization options. I would rather say they were selective. Monotonous loot, prizes, skins. If it didn't have to do with gameplay, it didn't matter. This game knew me so well, it didn't even bother with a single player campaign on the first run. It was bare bones, and I loved it. A gun was designed with an intended purpose and a place within a pilot's arsenal. A movement system was left for you to discover. And the introduction of Titans was a great twist. They were made to bring man and machine together. Those were good times. Until Titans went rampant and the machine started to take over. Present day with Titanfall 3 in development, I want to talk about a key component of the game, which is Titan balance, and as a whole, Titan versus pilot balance. And Uprising is coming, and if we don't stop this before it's too late, pilots may not be needed in the future. Even Reapers are becoming self-aware of how powerful they have become. Going from Titanfall 1 to Titanfall 2, I was a fan of the core mechanic changes to Titans, from the way shields function to the new class system introduced to Titan selection. Separate customization options within each Titan class also help keep Titans in check. I thought this would shift the scales of power between pilot and Titan to an equilibrium, but it wasn't enough. In the future, everything will be automated. Let's all have a handful of member berries. The rodeo system, a cat and mouse game in the original that felt very nimble, was changed for more of an on-rail experience as you wait to pull out a battery from a Titan and have the sequence completed for you, without even allowing you the courtesy of choosing in which direction you jumped off of a Titan. Did that sentry just dab at me? And by this point, I'm sure there's some knob in the comment section typing up how this game is called Titanfall and it's supposed to be about Titans and they're giant robots that are meant to kick your ass. Well, to that I say, lasers don't melt steel beams. But really, that's a stupid argument. Just because the name of a book was Moby Dick doesn't mean it's about a techno music lover's junk. Let's get back into perspective here. This guy is huge. Yeah, you can see him up in the window. And I think part of the reason he looks so big is because I'm on such a short building. And this is the kind of thing that this video is going to go into. We are going to be talking about pilot versus Titan because I think it's just so important in this game. And I think we're at a tipping point again in Titanfall 2 like Titanfall 1. And this kind of happens in every game as people start to know the best strategies in the game. As a developer, you have to be on top of this because it really only takes one guy and then the internet for everybody to figure it out. You need to balance your games around things that you can at least foresee or at least start planning in the future. So in this video, we're going to be addressing these kind of things, and it really comes down to weapons, maps, difficulty of use, overall power, and you can kind of group that into lethality. And I found that a lot of the balance problems in this game is because of the one-shot potential from a lot of the Titans. Some are more skill-based, some are less skill-based, and those are again things we're going to be talking in this video. So now that the song's about to end, we are going to be getting into some longer clips and start talking about some more common themes that are starting to develop in Titanfall and how we can possibly avoid them in the future in Titanfall 3. Present day Angel City. Welcome to Attrition. This is a common game type, the most popular game type, and this is also going to be the less popular game type if it continues on like this. This is what a Christmas noob is going to see. This is the common theme, and do I blame them? No, it's not their fault. They're taking advantage of what the game gave them. Unfortunately, what the game gave to a lot of Titans is very easy one-shot potential kills. Tone is notorious. I made a video early on how stupid good it was, and it still is to this day. If it's even balanced in Titan vs Titan, which I actually think it is, and even if it's not, I find that there's actually a lot more balance between Titan versus Titan, just like there's a lot of balance obviously between pilot versus pilot. It's the dynamic in between that needs to be balanced out in this game, and you have to be able to foresee problems. The one-shot potential on Tone is still way too easy. Way too easy. For example, an Ion, when you see him take a laser shot, it means that you have an opening. Another good example of balancing, like the Ion, because it does have one hit potential, but it takes a little bit more skill, especially close up. At range, the hitbox is very generous. But a good example is Northstar. The way that they made his cluster missile work is great. I thought it was a great idea. You cannot hold it and aim it. You have to aim and then press it and it just shoots. That is a way that you can balance a weapon. If you're able to do that for other Titans lethality shots, I think that you're going to be able to balance them a lot better against pilots. If you want one-shot potential, you need to make it a skill shot, and that's what I want to see more of in Titanfall. I would even be fine with them having multiple kinds of skill shots that they can make at a pilot. If there was more than just a laser, there's also another move with a charge time, with a reload time, so then there's an opening for the pilot to engage them. That's what I want to see. I want to see more dynamics that add openings for pilots. I would also like to see more so the old rodeo system come back, but obviously not. So I think you always want to try to improve on things. Things don't have to stay exactly the same. Obviously, developers have liberties. I'm not telling them how to run their game. I'm just telling them some of the things that I've noticed and some of the things that I think need to change if you don't want to find the same kind of thing happening over and over in this game. Because again, I think that the core mechanic changes to Titans were exactly to get away from the problems that are starting to develop now in Titanfall 2. I always found that the regenerating shields were a problem because Titans would just hang out in the back, and as a pilot you try to pepper them, but since they had a high potential for a one-shot kill, they had a lot more openings. They'd be like, okay, you knocked my shields off, I can wait a little bit until I get my one-shot potential back, or I get my shields back, and then we can do this dance infinitely until it comes out in their favor. And I think Titanfall 2 tried to remedy this, and it is better, but I think it can still be improved upon. The second thing that I think happened that's skewed is the maps. If you look at today's maps, it makes it a little bit harder to engage Titans from a safe distance, and by safe distance I usually mean vertically. It's a good thing Titans can't climb, at least you can head glitch them and pepper them from there. The thing is, you don't want to rely on things like that. You see how the gameplay is stale. It really slows down the pace, and it turns it into something I don't want to see. The charge rifle. This is what I thought would be the ideal kind of weapon for a Titan to have. It has a high time to kill, yet it's easy for the Titan to use. It also comes with a skill shot. That Titan was great. In Titanfall, since you're not always high up in the air or the levels are very small, things like Ronin can get out of hand because their one-shot potential is huge. Their shotgun has, what, 4 shells in it? They also have a sword. You can have 3 dashes plus phase dash, which means you can get around a small level very quickly. And the level is always going to influence balance. Level design is very important. I actually find Rise to be one of the best levels. I barely get to play it, it makes me very sad, but when I do play it, I find that pilots feel a lot more balanced. It has to do with the fact that you can move very quickly because of the way that the walls are spaced. There's also a lot of height that you can get that lets you get first look at a Titan. It makes it so they really have to look around to find you because you do have that slightly smaller field of view when you're in your Titan. It even has these small, like, corridors for pilots to hang out with a lot of windows. If you like going indoors, like, that level has everything. A lot of those things really make a difference, and that's what I want to see brought into Titanfall. I want to see good level design that are going to complement the weapons that pilots and Titans are going to be using. When it comes to Titan, the other big theme is power. You need to feel powerful. And they say, we're stronger together, pilot, but no, what's really stronger with a Titan is more Titans. Titan, 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 Titan. Stacking Titans. That has become the new philosophy in Attrition and any other game mode where you have to add a Titan. Dropping together is way better than dropping solo if there's any risk that you're going to be losing your Titan. This clip is actually about me getting first to drop. I find first to drop in Titanfall to just be crazy, especially when you take one of these Titans that has really high one-shot potential against pilots. In the early game, it's devastating. It will completely tip a game in your favor. However, sometimes when I'm doing that solo, I'll get us an early lead. The other team will be coordinated. They may be in a party. They just know what works in Titanfall. Whatever the case may be, they start stacking up in the back of the level, and they will be able to bring back a game like that. Because again, this is the strongest strategy in Titanfall. Trying to get more Titans than your opponent is usually going to guarantee you a victory, unless, of course, the skill gap is big. I was actually having a conversation with somebody on Reddit about skill-based matchmaking, which I think is a priority in gaming if you want to have games that are going to feel balanced as well. Sometimes balance is just perceived because of the people that you're playing against. I think that a game that's going to be successful needs to pair people up accordingly. If you win a game, great. You're going to match up against somebody a little bit stronger next time. You lose a game, you know, vice versa. And that, I think, keeps it fresh for you. You're not going to be losing every game, but it's going to put everyone more of an even playing field, and it's going to change how people perceive balance. No one wants to get rolled by the best players in any game. People want to be worked up. You want the ladder system. That feels better to people. That's how people learn. People are like, don't worry, just play and you'll get good. It's like, yeah, you're going to get good, but when you're constantly dead and you don't even get a chance to experiment, you are not going to be having a good time, and it actually brings down your skill curve. It's great to see good people play, but you know what? That's why there's YouTube. You're not going to really be able to get the whole perspective just looking at people rape you every like 10-15 seconds. Alright, that's an exaggeration. It's probably going to take me about 20 seconds if I have to slingshot over the level if I'm starting on my end. If I'm in the middle of the level, I'll get to you in the next 10 seconds. Great, I hope you learned a lot in that last 35 seconds depending on what happened. Have fun. This game is so epic. I absolutely love this game, and that's the only reason I criticize it. I want to see it succeed because it did have a pretty rough opening this year, or last year now, and the first one also not as well received as I've always expected it to be. Why don't you people love what I love? Everybody that plays Titanfall wants other people to play Titanfall because we want you to just experience the magic. Like, this is a quality first-person shooter. Yay, look how many Titans we have. We are so good. By the end of this game, I think there's only 2 guys left in their team because they were not having fun. And that's what I also want Titanfall to be. If you want it to be competitive, cool. To me, competitive just means that it feels balanced and it's also fun to play. I think we can have both. That's what I think this game should aspire to, and that's what I'm hoping for comes out, hopefully in the near future. That brings us to the end of this episode. I'm going to be picking this up though in future episodes. We're going to be doing a little bit more attrition, going to be changing some things up. We're still going to be doing more grapple because I just love to grapple, and I still find that I can actually get better with it. I'm also going to be doing obviously a Titanfall 3 grapple because I want to talk a little bit about balance on its end and what are the kind of things that I'd like to see. You know, my wish list, it doesn't have to be the same as yours, but I'd really like to hear what you guys have to say in regards to Titan balance and what you guys would like to start talking about in regards to Titanfall 3, because I think we have to start looking towards the future when it comes to the franchise. This game has been great, but we're going to need to suck people in a whole new era. And I hope you guys are going to be there with me as we continue this journey from Titanfall 2 and beyond. Thank you for joining me, your host, Paper, cut to you, and I'll see you guys next time.